Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at this 2021 Acura TLX. This thing is all new for 2021. The first gen TLX came out for the 2015 model year, and it basically combines the TSX with the TL. So the vehicle you're looking at here is sized between something like a BMW 3 Series and a 5 Series. So it sits right in between compact and mid-size. I like this one. I think the design is good. It gives a good balance of value and luxury. There are some things I don't like about it, but for the most part, I think it's pretty cool. So let's take a tour of the TLX and then take it on a drive. So the design of the TLX is completely new, as is the rest of the vehicle, and I think it's pretty sharp. This rides on a front-wheel drive platform, and sometimes you get weird proportions with front-wheel drive, but this thing avoids them for the most part. This one is all-wheel drive. It has Acura's super handling all-wheel drive system, which is a little better than your average economy car all-wheel drive setup. This is an A-Spec model, so altogether there are 4 trims of the TLX. There will be 5 when the Type S comes out, which is supposed to come out in spring of 2021. But as for this one, it's an A-Spec, so it's the 3rd nicest out of 4. With it, you get darkened wheels. Let's see what we have here. 19-inch wheels. They're gray. They're like a painted, glossy gray. Grille is pretty familiar. It's Acura's Shield grille. All around, pretty sharp front end. All the creases are good on this vehicle. Black mirror caps, there's your A-Spec badge. No performance upgrades to the A-Spec, just sportier styling. Move around to the back. A-Spec, super handling all-wheel drive, TLX. There's your Acura emblem. You'll notice it's a very flat trunk lid. So where is the button? Button is hiding in the taillight there. There's your look at trunk space. I think for a vehicle of this size and at this price point, if you're looking for a smaller sports sedan, trunk space is adequate. What's also nice is it's completely covered except for this area right here. So you don't have any exposed hinges, no exposed panels or anything. It's completely encased in this, I don't know, trunk material stuff. No spare apparently. You've just got a fill kit, and then that's a funnel for Acura's capless fuel filler. Something kind of quirky, speaking of the fuel filler, this vehicle has its fuel door positioned as high up as I think I've ever seen it on a vehicle before. I mean, it's basically in the C-pillar. But capless fuel filler, if you're filling from a gas can, you know, like this one right here, I'm told that you'd likely need to use this funnel here. And let's see, I found one of these in a CRV and it had a Honda logo on it. Yep, so does this one. So there you go, there's your Honda logo. Oh no, the jig's up. Anyway, yeah, you'll probably need to use that if you ever fill up one of these capless Honda Acura products with a jerry can. A-Spec gets this black kind of ducktail spoiler. Exhaust tips look pretty good. I mean, it's a turbocharged 4-cylinder, so it's not putting out huge power. It's about 270, but yeah, exhaust tips add a little bit to the visuals. Great color combo. A-Spec also comes with darkened taillights, so it's a sharp looking vehicle. It's a really sharp looking vehicle. I really can't wait for the Type S. As for the interior, it's pretty sharp. There's some Honda in here. I mean, this is Honda, but the design is pretty modern. Some cool graphics to the infotainment screen startup. Good sounds too. Here, we'll turn it off, listen. Quality's pretty good. This isn't the softest material. It's actually a little rough, but it is soft touch and it feels very substantial. Moving down here, this is a textured aluminum finish. There's LED lighting in the doors, and then along the center stack there, you can change the colors of that. It was bright red when I got the vehicle, and I changed it to this lighter white. Door panels, pretty soft actually. Lots of red in this car. It is an A-Spec trim, so you've got red on the door panels, red on the center console lid here, and red seats. Steering wheel feels good, feels pretty substantial. Leather wrapped, red stitching. It's thick. Paddle shifters here, they stick out a little bit so you can get them pretty easily while you're driving. That said, this thing has a 10-speed automatic, so going down a gear is pretty inconsequential. You've got to really hammer the downshift to really feel a difference in the driving. Anyway, flat bottom steering wheel. Buttons here, kind of nice. So this one scrolls, and then you can also click left and right. It's textured, it's wrapped in rubber. Yeah, overall, nice steering wheel design. Center stack gets a little wonky. Push button gear selector, it's pretty common these days. What's odd to me is that the most prominent thing on the entire center stack, I would argue, is this driving mode selector here. And all it really does is let you switch between a few different driving modes. I mean, you've got 3 different modes: normal, comfort, and sport. You push that and you can go into individual modes. Press and hold to customize. Most vehicles achieve this via just a little button. It's kind of odd that in these modern Acuras, the knob is so big, let alone so prominent, given that it does so little. Other weird things on the center stack here, this screen really stands out. It feels like it's from, about 2003. Everything else here is pretty sharp. You've got the infotainment screen, which is high resolution. You've got all the other lettering and lights are bright LEDs. Then you've got this thing, which is this old school clock face that shows you the status of the air conditioning and heating. And then on top of that, it's just cloudy. I mean, it's not out of focus right there. That's just as sharp as it gets. Yeah, really sticks out and not in a good way. My main gripe about the center stack though is this infotainment system. So we'll get this out of the way. It's not a touchscreen. The only way to control it is this touchpad right here. And it's not as horrible as Lexus's touchpad. It's actually somewhat intuitive. If you touch in the top left corner of the pad, you select the top left icon on the screen. So top left, we highlight the icon in the top left. Top right, highlight the icon in the top right. And then if I want to select that, I'd press and then just click. So it is a physical click. You can feel what you're clicking on. It's set up into 2 different sides also. So this main pad here controls the main screen, and then there's this slider here that controls the right side of the screen there. And that works pretty much the same way. You touch it, it highlights, and then you press it to click. And then when you do click on, say I clicked on the radio on this screen, it switches this over to navigation. If I choose radio here, it switches this over to navigation. So you can't make it show the same thing on both screens. It's smart enough to switch over depending on, what screen you pull up here. It's just frustrating to me that it's not a touchscreen. Even Lexus has added a touchscreen to their vehicles. The updated RX has a similar infotainment system as the previous one. You've still got the touchpad, but it's also now a touchscreen. I really don't see what Acura is gaining by making this not a touchscreen. The other weird thing is that it sits back kind of far. The idea there, I guess, is that you're not cutting into outward visibility. If you had a big screen right here, you might eat into visibility a little bit. But if they just brought it up to about here, kept it the same size, kept it set in enough that it wasn't sticking out super high, you could easily make it a touchscreen because it's easy enough to reach this area right here from the driver's seat. So maybe that's something we'll see down the road, maybe not. But either way, I really don't see what Acura is trying to achieve by keeping touch functionality out of this infotainment system. Here's the window sticker. So as equipped, this one comes in at $47,000. You can see it's a 2021 TLX all-wheel drive A-Spec. EPA rates it at 21 mpg city, 29 highway, and 24 combined. Under the hood is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making 272 horsepower and paired to a 10-speed automatic. It's the same powertrain that you get in the new RDX, and it's one that I'm sure will find its way into future Acura products as well. Let's check out the back seat. Okay, so like I said, this thing sits right in between compact and mid-size. So I know you can't really tell, but I've got about an inch of knee room. Footwell isn't huge, but it's not too constricting. There's a fairly large hump right here. I don't know how well you can see it. The seat backs are nice and finished though. You've got map pockets on both of them. Let's see, door panel material is the same as it is up front, which is good. Other than that, yeah, high quality materials throughout the TLX here. The plastics and the heavy structural pieces all feel really good. One thing I forgot to mention is this thing has a really good audio system. It says ELS Premium Audio. Speakers are in front of the door pulls up there, and then back here as well, and they're also littered throughout the rest of the vehicle. There's actually one above each of the outboard seats back here as well. Seat material is nice, perforated red leather and then perforated suede. Makes a nice design on the seat bottoms and the seat backs. Just 2 air vents back here. Nothing in the way of USB ports. Let's see. Yeah, no USB ports for the second row. That's surprising. Just 2 cup holders and then a little cubby right here. Anyway. Okay, going for a drive in the TLX. Car definitely feels substantial. It feels like you want a luxury car to feel. That said, the powertrain isn't the smoothest thing in the world. There's 50, so it's fairly quick. 272 horsepower is a lot for a small car like this. So Acura is certainly generous with the power output of this vehicle. The car doesn't feel as smooth as some of its competitors, and that's mostly because of the powertrain. I felt the same way about this engine when I drove it in the RDX, and between the Turbo 4 and probably to a degree the 10-speed automatic, it's just a little bit rough. I wouldn't call it super refined. It's not the smoothest accelerating vehicle, and that's something that you'll get a lot of times with small 4-cylinder engines that rely on turbocharging to make most of their power. This is a little 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 272 horsepower. It's just not the smoothest transitioning vehicle. Like at red lights and in traffic, there's just a little more of that movement than I think you want out of a luxury car. That said, the proposition with Acura does have a lot to do with value. Like I mentioned, this car's only $47,000. And I think for that price, it's pretty reasonable. The interior is sharp, feels pretty modern. There's some things that feel a little bit dated. You've got this weird clock thing here on the center stack, and then the mechanical gauges feel a little 2014, 2012 maybe. But beyond that, materials are great. The infotainment screen is pretty sharp. I don't love the way it's controlled, but it is sharp. The graphics and stuff are also sharp. So through that vein, the vehicle feels pretty modern. Additionally, in this A-Spec trim, I think the car looks pretty sharp. I think once the Type S comes out in the spring, that thing is going to be pretty impressive. I think it's going to make 355 horsepower from a twin-turbo V6. So that's an area that Acura and Honda haven't really ventured in yet. So it'll be interesting to see them come out with like a true Audi S4 competitor. So who's gonna buy this car? Acura kind of represents a good medium between performance, luxury, and value. I think on the far end, you've got Lexus as the super hyper conservative luxury automaker. And then on the other side of things, you've got BMW, Mercedes, Audi as the very non-conservative, kind of in-your-face luxury manufacturers. You run into questions of value when you get into the European luxury car makers. With Lexus, it's more of just, they can be kind of dull at times. Acura is a good middle ground there. Honda obviously offers really good reliability. Build quality in this interior is killer. And then the overall feel of the vehicle is kind of sporty, kind of fun. And you don't quite get that out of many Lexus products these days. And I think for a lot of buyers, European luxury cars come with a lot of baggage. They depreciate quickly, they have reliability issues. You have to question the value. Like on most German luxury cars, you've got to pay extra for things like radar cruise control. On this vehicle, radar cruise control comes standard. So when you look at them that way, the price disparity becomes even higher, given that you have to pay extra for a lot of these features on the European luxury cars. So while this and an A4 may have a similar base price, when you start optioning an A4 to get features that are standard on the TLX here, the A4 becomes even more expensive than a TLX. So if I were in the market for a compact luxury sedan or mid-size luxury sedan, I think I would definitely consider the TLX. I've been a little bit turned off by the Europeans just because of that cost. And then you've got depreciation and reliability questions a lot of times. I think the TLX here will really appeal to people who have been put off by the idea of European car ownership, but also want something that's maybe a little more exciting than your average Lexus. And I think the TLX comes right in between there. It's still fairly conservative, it'll hold its value well, it'll still be reliable, but it's also fun and modern, and the performance is fairly good. And I think that about wraps up the TLX. Thanks for watching.